everyone. How are you today? We're so glad that you joined in. My name is Dawn Lego. I am with One Cause and I will be your host today. If this is your first time with us, well, you are in for a ride. We love to take hot fundraising topics and talk to the people who know the best about that topic. Our industry leaders, our industry experts, people really that have a 411 that are going to bring great insights to you so that you can further your mission and feel empowered in your fundraising. If you've been with us before, welcome back. I know you're going to want to get started. We have a great guest today, two guests in fact, and we're really going to have some good conversation about topics that you've asked to hear about. So let's also keep the conversation going. Don't be shy. Please go ahead as we're having this conversation. Drop your questions below. We will definitely check them out and respond so that we can keep this conversation going and keep you with the information that you need to go out and do what you do best. And on that note, let's thank everyone out there, all of our fearless fundraisers, for the work that you do every day, all day, to help us with societal changes. My guest is doing a little fist pump there, and for all of the important missions that just make things very special in our world. We can't thank you enough. But we're going to help you further those missions right now with this next conversation. We're going to be talking a little peer-to-peer and how to optimize those experiences. And I have two great people with me today who know that topic very, very well. Chris, Brittany, hi, welcome. So wonderful to talk to you and have you with us today.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Great. Well, you know what? You can do a better introduction, I'm sure, than I can. So let's go in alphabetical order. We'll go B, then C. If you would each just introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about CGC, which I say CGC, but it's Corporate Giving Connections, right?
Yeah.
So let me hear a little bit about the company, both of you, and let's tell our audience a little bit about what they're going to hear today. So go ahead, Brittany, let's kick it off with you.
Yeah, thank you again for having us and for everybody for tuning in. So Corporate Giving Connection, we're a full service marketing and fundraising consulting firm focusing on strategy, but also implementation for small to mid-sized nonprofits. So anything related to fundraising, marketing, grant writing. We've been doing a lot of peer-to-peer this past year, but even event management, marketing strategy and plans. We really have it all. So we're excited to be here with you guys today and talk a little bit about online fundraising. I'm Brittany Leganke. I am the Director of Nonprofit Development, and I will let Chris introduce himself.
Yeah. I am Chris Hammond. I am the founder and CEO of Corporate Giving Connection, and I love to work with nonprofit organizations. It's become Brittany and my life's work, having the opportunity to help all of you fearless fundraisers raise the much needed funds to implement your incredible programs. So we're just thankful to do what we're able to do every day, and anytime we can help with marketing and fundraising, we're more than happy to support.
Great. Well, so great to have both of you here. And I'd like to just go right into it and get into the basics. Some of our audience may not even understand what is peer-to-peer. We love to throw around, peer-to-peer, let's do that, especially in a pandemic, right? So let's define what is peer-to-peer, what does it entail, and how is it different from crowdfunding? So just right out of the gate, let's get some definitions going. Whoever wants to take that, go right ahead.
So peer-to-peer, I'll give a little bit of an informal definition. So crowdfunding is kind of that standard online fundraising method that we've seen where you're giving everybody a link to a campaign landing page. Everybody's asked to make a donation. It's all going into one pot. You have a goal you're trying to hit. So a lot of people are still using that. Peer-to-peer is kind of like crowdfunding, but it's a little step above because you're actually allowing people in your constituency to become fundraisers and really be ambassadors for your organization. So they're creating, along with that main campaign landing page, they're able to create their own personal fundraising page and reach out to their friends, family members, colleagues, asking for donations to their personal page. So they're kind of getting credit for bringing that donation in, but it's all ultimately going back to the organization.
Anything to add, Chris?
No, I think Brittany did a great job. But one thing that I like to add, and this is something that we say to a lot of our clients, we really feel that peer-to-peer fundraising is one of the more formulaic ways of actually being able to fundraise, because rather than crowdfunding where you're taking the time to see, I don't know who is going to come in to give this donation, you do have a better idea of actually creating a formula of how much money you are going to raise. And so a lot of times what we end up saying to our clients is, first, let's think about how many people are you going to be recruiting? Okay, how many people is it going to take to have fundraisers? What are their fundraising goal? How many donors do you think that they're going to get? And then you can actually create an actual fundraising goal that makes sense and that you can actually exceed. So that's one of the real things that we really like about peer-to-peer fundraising, is the ability to have a better understanding of what your goals, what are tangible goals, and what it takes to actually exceed them.
Okay, so what does peer-to-peer entail, Chris? What are the elements of a peer-to-peer campaign? Just lay them out for us.
Yeah. For us, I think, so often a lot of nonprofit organizations and you really go into building a peer-to-peer campaign, and they think it's as simple as just building a campaign page and then getting a few of their board members to do some fundraising messages on their behalf. What we like to tell everybody is there's a lot more involved than just that. Yes, that is the bare essentials of a peer-to-peer campaign, but we really feel there's a nice lead process that you should have to take the time to build a campaign theme and have and we always say that a campaign theme serves such as a thesis statement. So that could be talking about your programs, or it could be something that a specific initiative that you're really trying to focus on. And from there, you should have a bit of a communication plan of how are you going to speak to your general audience, the people that are used to hearing from you from email or social media. It's building out that language to make sure that it can last the duration of a campaign. And then for us, we think the biggest area that a lot of people are currently not using is making sure that their fundraisers are equipped to have a fundraising kit to fundraise on their behalf. And
Toolkit.
So they need to have that toolkit. And that's something that we really focus on more than anything, is building out those templates, building out that messaging, and making it very plug and play so fundraisers can raise on their behalf. And
so that makes sense, because in a peer-to-peer campaign, you're tapping your donors' network, or you're tapping your donors and asking them to tap their networks.
Mhm.
And that's important because they're probably great ambassadors. They're aligned to the mission. They have a heartwarming story as to why. There's a reason why they're there, but they're not necessarily fundraisers.
Mhm.
So you have to give them that toolkit in order to do the job that you've asked them to do.
Absolutely.
No different than any other job, right? Is that what we're saying here?
Yes, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things, and I think you touched upon two great points. I think first and foremost, one of the greatest things about peer-to-peer fundraising is you are getting the keys to somebody else's network, right?
Yeah,
I say
huge.
this all the time.
Grow the growth.
I truly believe that people give to people, right? I think there are so many worthwhile
I
organizations,
agree.
so many great programs out there, but sometimes it makes all the difference in the world to say, hey, my friend is a part of this organization and they have personally witnessed the type of impact that this organization is making in the community. I want to support my friend by supporting this organization. So I think that's one of the great aspects, and you're really going to inherit new donors based off of your current supporters and by your current folks that actually understand your programs and the impact that you're making in the community. So I think that's one really key piece. The other piece of the puzzle that I think is very important that you touched upon is, so often people always are asked by organizations, hey, can you help us? But there isn't really very clear guide of what they need. And so for us, we really think it's important to have that clear value proposition to fundraisers and to your supporters to say, I don't need you to donate XYZ amount of money. I need you to donate your time. And if you could take the time, I'm going to give you the template, take your 15 to 20 minutes to think about, 30 to 50 people in your network that you could send this message out to. And we want you to focus on doing that and cultivating those relationships while we'll give you the content, we'll give you the messaging. You're just the one that's opening the door for us. And we feel if you can make it very clear and easy for those people to understand, it really does really take away from that barrier of entry point, because we feel that so many times when the unknown makes people just shut down, and then they end up not wanting to support at all.
Got it. Wow. Okay. So how does a nonprofit know that they're ready? Brittany, can I throw that one to you? I mean, what readies a nonprofit for a peer-to-peer campaign? I mean, is there any point in time where it's too soon?
I think the biggest thing that we always go back to when we're talking to clients or to nonprofit organizations that are thinking about whether or not they want to do a peer-to-peer campaign is, do you have the fundraisers in place? And if you don't have the fundraisers in place, maybe you wait a little bit and see if you can get those people in place, because that's really going to be the most important thing. If you could have the best branding, the best content, the best materials, if the people aren't there to distribute that message, you're not going to get that return on investment that you're looking for. So whether it's, a really dedicated smaller group of volunteers or maybe board members who have committed to raising a higher amount, that could work. Or we've seen organizations say, we're going to use maybe our young professionals network or just a group of volunteers. And maybe they're not able to write that big check, but maybe they can send this message out and get $20 to $50 donations from 100 people. And that really adds up. So I think the biggest thing is if you feel like you have fundraisers in place who can amplify this message for you.
And to piggyback off of what Brittany said, we work with nonprofit organizations that have just been set in their ways of, this is when we want to have the campaign. This is when it needs to take place. This is why it needs to take place at this point. And so often what we try to say to them is, slow down. Let's just focus on, if we can get the people in place, that's the most important piece of the puzzle. And so, we all assume that all of our supporters, if we gave them the toolkit, that they would be willing to fundraise on our behalf, but we don't know that. And so it's important to do your due diligence and find out how many folks are actually going to be able to drive this campaign, because that is the magic of peer-to-peer, is having those ambassadors, those fundraisers to amplify your message. If you don't have that, it's no different than a crowdfunding campaign at that point.
Yeah, it's just a lot of work
Yeah.
for just like an online donation. So you really want to optimize what you're doing, is make sure that your people, you got your people, right?
Yeah.
And that you train and arm your people. I love developing the content. Do it once for 50 people, do it once for 100 people, and really amplify that mission. Okay, so let's talk about boo-boos, right? The hiccups, the mistakes. What mistakes do you see nonprofits, fundraisers making in their peer-to-peer campaign? And let's just get it out and save them the hassle, save them the trouble, and whoever wants to take that, go. The boo-boos.
One thing that comes to my mind kind of goes along with what we've been saying is lack of preparing fundraisers ahead of time. So thinking, all right, we've got this group, they're all locked in, they've verbally agreed that they're going to do this. So when the time comes, we'll email them all the templates and they'll be good to go and they'll know exactly what to do. Especially if this is a first-time campaign for your organization, you really are going to have to do a little bit of hand-holding at the beginning with these people, especially if they've never taken part in a peer-to-peer campaign before. So make sure, even if one thing we love to do is have a fundraiser kickoff call at the beginning of a campaign. So bring everybody together. Maybe it's something like on Zoom, and you even record that so that if people aren't able to join, you can send it to them after, they can watch it later. Record that, go through, these are the templates that we've provided. This is how you're supposed to use all these templates. here's what your fundraising page should look like. Here's what you're going to ask people to do. Really go through it step by step, because it seems so natural for all of us who have been immersed in it for so many years and who are used to fundraising and asking for money. But for some of these people, this might be their first time. So they're really going to need that how-to.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off what Brittany is saying, I mean, I think that the key word is just preparation overall, right? I think that, yeah, that's one thing about the fundraisers, but a lot of organizations are developing their content as the campaign is coming together. They are providing templates as the campaign is already underway.
Reactively instead of proactively.
It is all about taking the time to build that infrastructure. Because what I will say about peer-to-peer, which is also, you can tell I love peer-to-peer, but
no.
one of my favorite things about it is if you take the time to build that infrastructure of what is the campaign, what is the content we're going to be using, what is the messaging, we've already recruited our fundraisers. Once it is campaign time, it's press play. It really is. And so often people make it so much more difficult for themselves because they're trying to do it all at once. And if you're doing it all at once, it's just going to be this avalanche that you're not going to be able to stop. And so that's where we hear all the time that people are like, peer-to-peer is not for me. Peer-to-peer wasn't for our fundraisers. And I have yet to hear somebody say, we built a very structured template system and had a very overarching campaign, and we recruited all these fundraisers, and them say that it wasn't a success. As long as they took the time to really put in the work preliminarily, it makes all the difference in the world.
Okay, so it so makes sense to me, right? I mean, instead of, social media is a job and your content is a job and awareness. And so, well, let's go ahead and prepare, make a lot of content, get all the steps in, recruit, give it to 50 people. And as you say, now it's press and play. Sorry about that. So, it's like the math's there. Why not? Well, we get a lot of why nots, to your point, Chris. It's not for me. My fundraisers weren't ready. Okay. So in steps CGC, how do you help? How can you change that mindset and get maybe a group that felt that peer-to-peer wasn't for them, or that their donors weren't and supporters weren't ready? We know really that that's not true, right? So how can you help? What do you do to help?
I mean, I think more than anything, one of the biggest things that we do at the beginning is provide structure, right? Because I think at when you're looking at a peer-to-peer campaign, it does seem like a lot of work. I think one of the biggest things that we think is important is, first off, taking some time with the organization to understand, what is this campaign even about? What is this? What is the impact that we're trying to make? Okay, now we have a clear understanding of that. What is a reasonable goal? What have you fundraised in the past? Because I can't tell you how often somebody comes to Brittany and says, "Hey, my goal is $100,000," and we're like, "Have you ever done a campaign like this before?"
Based on what, right? Yeah, based on what?
Well, we did one campaign that raised 10,000. We're like, well, that doesn't seem like those add up right now. So it's really getting to a point of understanding, okay, what's reasonable and what's not reasonable. And what we say so often to clients is, it's okay to have a low goal. It's always great to continue to exceed it and continue to grow the goal. That is okay. But there's no easier way to take the wind out of the sails of a campaign than not even being close to hitting your goal. So it's taking that time. And then from there, it really is helping provide the templates that they need to recruit, developing the marketing collateral, and then also building the templates and providing that coaching and advising throughout the process for not only their fundraisers, but also for the organization. So we really like to consider them as somewhat of as a coach, but also as an extension of their team that can develop all of those assets so that the organization can really focus on cultivating those relationships with those fundraisers and building that community feel, while we're really just serving as that team that's going to support them in every which way.
And if you have a software that allows you unlimited campaigns,
Mhm.
then grow the growth slowly, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if $100,000 goal doesn't make sense based on your $10,000 fundraising, well, set a $15,000 goal and then repurpose what you've done and have another peer-to-peer campaign maybe 6 months down the road and take that database and grow the growth, right? So that you keep building and then you're getting to your $100,000. And then at some point the $100,000 would make sense. Is that fair?
Absolutely. There is our biggest belief is sometimes it's important to just dip your toe in on trying to understand, how does my audience react to this? How does this work? And then from there, the lessons learned can really make you very strategic and really give you all the information that you need to really go full force for a second campaign.
Great. Okay, so we're running a little low on time, but there's a couple questions that I want to get in. I hope you could hang out there with me, but let's talk about recruiting, because we started with, I asked Brittany and she answered that, you need to know that you have your people, right? Well, if you don't, then we have to take a step back. What do we do for recruiting? If you don't have your people and you're buying into this peer-to-peer concept and you're ready, what do you do to recruit?
Yeah, I think the two biggest things are you have to be creative. You also have to be realistic. So starting with your board is a great place to look, but not every board member is going to be a great fundraiser. And that's just the reality. So you really need to have conversations with people. Are you comfortable asking your friends, family members, colleagues for donations? If you're not comfortable at all, maybe you can make a donation yourself and maybe we can figure out a different way for you to participate. One of the big things we like to encourage people to do is use the peer-to-peer campaign. If a lot of us have give or get requirements for our board. So it maybe if they fundraise a certain amount for the campaign, that can go towards their give or get requirement for the year. So that's a great option. Even volunteers, like we talked about a little earlier, people who aren't able to necessarily write that big check themselves, they might have a large network of family members and friends. They're volunteers. They already love your organization and what you're doing. So those are going to be the best people. And even if they're not bringing in huge donations, bringing in $50, $20 donations is still pretty great. And all of that adds up if you've got a lot of people like that. So it's really just taking a look at what do we have? Is it a super dedicated board? Are there program participants or people who have benefited from our programs that might be interested in fundraising for us? Is it volunteers? Is it people who are signed up for our newsletter, our staff members, things like that? So it really just takes a little bit of creativity and being honest about what people are actually willing to do.
And maybe asking for their honesty back, right? So be completely transparent about what we're asking them to do and asking them to be transparent about what they can and can't do, right? It's a dialogue, it's communication. And there's lots of people to tap into, right? I'll take, $10, $100 donations just as easily as I would take, a $10,000 donation. And that's what networking is all about. And the exposure to your network's database is, you can't even put a price tag on that. All right, well, let's wrap up with this. What's the one tip? I'm gonna have each of you answer that. Chris, I'll start with you. But if you had to say the, numero uno, the one tip, the one thing that you want our audience to take away, go. What is it?
Number one thing, I say the same thing every time. Templates, build templates. If you can build templates, if you can create templates for your fundraisers to use on your behalf, and you have the approved messaging that all they have to do is fill in the blank to put their name, put their fundraising page link, and put where they're at in terms of hitting their fundraising goal, that makes all the difference in the world. Don't make your fundraisers feel like they have to recreate the wheel. Make it so that it's plug and play and press send.
And just
okay, Brittany.
I was just going to add into that, just to be specific, we're talking email templates and also social media templates and direct mail templates. If your organization sends direct mail, snail mail, and that's good, give them those templates too. So sometimes it's giving people a variety of ways to be involved.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I know that our audience is going to want to connect because this is a juicy conversation. Don't you feel everyone feel empowered now to just go out there and run a peer-to-peer campaign? Chris, how do we get in touch with you? We'll drop your contact information below, but let's hear how we can get in touch with you and Brittany.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So you can always visit our website at cgcgiving.com. So cgcgiving.com. Or you can email me at chris@cgcgiving.com. And you can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. We're on all of those. So feel free to reach out on that. But one thing that we do offer to anybody is a free 30-minute marketing and fundraising consultation.
Wait, what? Wait, can you repeat that?
A free 30-minute marketing and fundraising consultation. So if anybody is thinking about putting together a peer-to-peer campaign, or they're just having difficulty with their marketing or fundraising efforts, we're more than happy to spend 30 minutes to just pick our brains, give us
But
ideas.
you do realize that this is going to be on social media and YouTube. Anybody, right? Did you hear that, everyone?
We are happy to do this. Our only thing is that you have to be a nonprofit organization. So as long as you're a nonprofit organization, we are more than happy to do that because we feel
thank you.
that it is important to give free advice, right? And I always say if I can give advice that really makes an impact for your organization in 30 minutes or less, then I should definitely do it. So consider that our donation to you guys. We want to make sure that we can provide you with any tools you can to hit the ground running.
And we'll definitely drop that below too. And Brittany, your email address?
So I am Brittany.leganke@cgcgiving.com. So we'll probably definitely need to spell that one out.
I will, for sure. We'll definitely drop that below. Well, I can't thank you all enough. To all you fearless fundraisers out there, I hope you were as inspired on this conversation as I was. The time went by so fast. Lots of good practical tips for you. But again, keep the conversation going. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Show some love to Brittany and Chris, right? Give us a couple of thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe because we have all types of topics that we address, thought leaders that we invite to chat with, and all good information to help you do what you do, maybe even a little bit better. So thank you for tuning in. Chris, Brittany, thank you so much for joining. I enjoyed having you. This was a great conversation. And till next time, stay fearless and keep going with your fundraising. Bye, everyone.